Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Tiffany, and today we are continuing our celebration of films honored at the Academy Awards throughout the years with Sir Carol Reed's 1949 film noir mystery, The Third Man. Okay, so The Third Man was honored at the 23rd Academy Awards in 1951, directed by Sir Carol Reed, starring Orson Welles, Joseph Cotten, and Alida Valli, with other notable performances by Trevor Noah. Did I really just say Trevor Noah? Bernard Lee, and Paul Horbiger. Alright, so a quick synopsis of the film. It says, set in post-war Vienna, Austria, The Third Man stars Joseph Cotten as Holly Martins, a writer of pulp westerns, who arrives penniless as a guest of his childhood chum Harry Lime, played by Orson Welles, only to find him dead. Martins develops a conspiracy theory after learning of a third man present at the time of Harry's death, running into interference from British officer Major Calloway, played by Trevor Howard, and falling head over heels for Harry's grief-stricken lover, Anna, played by Alida Valli. Okay, so at this point we are going to get into some historical background of the film. For those of you who want to jump right onto the film reaction, go for it, but for those of you who want to stay and listen to the historical background, we are going to get right into it. Okay, so after the events of both the Great Depression in the 1930s and World War II in the 1940s, there was this sense of disenchantment and disillusionment that was really circulating in America. Now this, coupled with the new looming fears of the rise of McCarthyism and the Second Red Scare, and then also the possibility of a nuclear war, really cultivated a sort of cynicism and existentialism that influenced and popularized a new style of cinema, which is film noir. Now, this cinematic style of film was really popularized in the 1940s in America and in parts of Europe just because it really encapsulated a lot of the fears and emotions that were kind of going around in the world during that time. Now, in terms of The Third Man and the Oscars, it was nominated for 3 Oscars, one of which it actually won. It won for cinematography, and then it was nominated for directing and film editing. So this film was written by writer and former spy Graham Greene, and his inspiration came courtesy of a trip to Vienna and also a short paragraph jotted on the inner flap of an envelope reading, quote, "I had paid my last farewell to Harry a week ago when his coffin was lowered into the frozen February ground. So it was with great incredulity that I saw him pass by without a sign of recognition among the host of strangers in the Strand," end quote. Yeah, so just reading that paragraph alone really, it sounds, just being inspired by that paragraph alone to write this entire screenplay, it just sounds intriguing. It's an intriguing paragraph, and he really wanted to explore the character of Harry and just kind of see where the writing took him. And so through that, that's how the screenplay came into existence, was based off of this one paragraph, which reading that, I was like, this is mind-blowing. Like, a whole entire screenplay off of this very intriguing paragraph. That is art right there. So yeah, so after researching all of this, I'm really excited to see this film and just the elements that make it a film noir, but also the story. And of course, you know, Orson Welles and Trevor Howard and Joseph Cotten, we've all seen them in previous videos on this channel, so I'm excited to see them act. But before we dive into this movie, y'all already know the deal. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit that bell notification to stay in the loop. All right, everyone, it is time to grab your snacks, grab your drinks, and let's get into The Third Man. What a very interesting choice of music. This sounds like a song you'd hear on SpongeBob SquarePants. It is our second British film on this channel. I love British films. They're so good.
What's the purpose of your visit here?
A friend of mine offered me a job here.
Where are you staying?
With him.
Oh, it's Joseph Cotten from Citizen Kane. It's really cool to see him in a main role, because in Citizen Kane, the main focus was on Orson Welles and, you know, Charles Foster Kane. But I'm really excited to see Joseph Cotten in a main character and kind of see his acting ability more spotlighted.
Coffin.
Coffin?
Mr. Limes. An accident. was knocked over by a car.
Wow. But also, what a way to learn that your friend that's just given you this job is now dead, and the information is being relayed to you through broken English. I think that kind of adds on to this idea of, it kind of has like just during the time of film noir and its popularity, there's a lot of confusion of what happens next after all these world events that just had such a negative impact on society. And it kind of, I know this is so weird, but even in that little piece of dialogue, we kind of get that sense of there is an element of confusion and kind of uncertainty in society during the time that this film came out, but also in this film. And I like how they decided to kind of show that subtly in the way that he's getting the information that his friend has just died. Again, with the music and this dark themes. How strange. Ooh. It's so interesting because you know that like film noir, okay, has like very dark, cynical elements, and yet they're using this uplifting type music it reminds me of the music you hear on SpongeBob, but it also sounds very like European. But it's so interesting that they're contrasting these dark theme or like these cynical themes with like a lighthearted song. And I've seen that done in film before, and I really like when they do that. But I just love that's kind of what they're using in the beginning here. It's a very interesting choice in music for such a cynical film, you know?
My name's Calloway. Martins. Your friend alive?
Yeah.
Had a bit of a shock, haven't you? You could do with a drink.
Oh my god, I love that leather trench coat that he's wearing. He looks real smooth.
It's a shame.
What?
Him dying like that.
Best thing that ever happened to him. He was about the worst racketeer that ever made a dirty living in this city.
He like literally just arrived and found out that his friend is literally dead. The one that was supposed to give him a job. But I think, okay, I think there's something so deep in that. Like I said earlier about how it really mirrors society. And you can really tie it back to what we were talking about in The Best Years of Our Lives, where this man who's coming to this foreign country, this foreign country is seeking employment from a man who promised him something and now cannot deliver, which can be paralleled to at post-World War, some of the veterans coming back to a very different America that they're coming home to, seeking employment, reassimilating, and having these promises of things that are going to be given to them and then them not receiving them. You see the parallel there? Like, that's so deep. So cool. This is why I love classic films, y'all.
Heard of Harry Lime?
Well, I've heard of him, of course, but I didn't exactly know him.
I was going to stay with him, but he died Thursday.
Goodness, that's awkward.
How would you say to people after death? Goodness, that's awkward.
Goodness, that's awkward. Just through the dialogue, we're really getting this sense of cynicism, just in the way that he kind of addressed the fact that his friend, who I'm assuming he has some sort of care level for, has just passed away. There's really a compassionlessness aspect to it. I think I made that word up, but it's fine. We'll roll with it. Of realizing that his friend has just passed away. It's very. It just feels so. The dialogue feels so cynical and so disenchanting, disillusioned. And I really love that we get that sense of what life or what people are feeling during this time in the 1940s. I'm just really, really starting to appreciate and love just how society has impacted cinema throughout the years. And so much in the 1940s, like I said in the last video, this is just something that I'm really starting to realize, is that society really does play a major role in the type of cinema that we create and the type of films that we create. And I just think it's so prevalent in this film.
You were a friend of Harry's.
I think he's best.
Police have a crazy notion that he was mixed up in some sort of racket.
Everyone in Vienna is. We all sell cigarettes and that kind of thing.
I love the camera angles. They have them like slightly angled as they're switching between actors. you know, like a lot of the artsy films that they have nowadays, like very eclectic. I think of Wes Anderson. I don't know why, but like when I think of those camera angles, I think of how these films kind of inspired like artsy films nowadays. But back in the day, these were like mainstream films. And I just thought that was so interesting because I'm sitting here watching this like, oh, this is so artsy. This is so indie, so eclectic. But in the 40s, this was like mainstream, or excuse me, one form of mainstream cinema. And I just really it's just so interesting that this was something that was more common in 1940s cinema.
We laid him down just about here, and this is where he died. I can't remember the exact words, Holly.
But he said he died instantaneously.
You know, I didn't see, I want to see if this was filmed on location. I didn't check that. So this film was shot on location in Vienna with some interior scenes being shot in studios in London. So, okay, so all of the outdoor scenes are in Vienna. So I'm thinking of how we kind of got to see pre-war in The Sound of Music and how it was very, you know, lighthearted, very colorful, obviously because it's a musical, but there was just a lot of happiness and upbeatness to Salzburg, Austria, pre-war. And now, even though they have absolutely no affiliation with each other, and they're from different times, we're seeing Austria, even though this is Vienna, not Salzburg, we're seeing Austria casted in a very different light. It feels a little bit darker, it feels a little bit heavier. It's still, scenery is absolutely gorgeous, with some of the historic buildings and the sculptures, very beautiful, but also very haunting. And I love how, even though it's set in the same country, it has a very different feel to it. And I know The Sound of Music was after this film, but it was depicting stuff from the 30s, and this is depicting stuff from the 40s, and it still feels like what it might have looked like in real time, where it was like the golden age of the 30s in The Sound of Music, and now you have the more rugged aftermath of the 1940s post-war. And I just love how we get to see that contrast between the two films. Very interesting. I just wanted to note on that.
A friend of his, who is he?
A Romanian, Mr. Popescu.
I'd like to talk to him.
He has left Vienna.
So they are definitely not revealing. They know more than they're letting on.
I saw you at the funeral. You were in love with him, weren't you?
How can you know a thing like that afterwards? I wondered about it 100 times. If it really was an accident, what difference does it make? He's dead, isn't he?
I'm really, really heavily feeling this almost like meaninglessness of life in the dialogue alone. In the way that, what's her name? Alida Valli is portraying her character, the femme fatale character. She is like, I just feel this sense of like meaninglessness, you know, like now that her lover has passed, and we don't even know if she actually loved him or not, that wasn't even expressed. And just from the way that she was kind of talking about his death, it was just very meaningless, like so like blasé about everyone's just very blasé about the fact that Harry Lime has passed away. And even the way that she's showing her love for him, there's just such a cynicism in this film, through the dialogue, through the acting. It's so strong. You almost feel a sense of like, what does it all mean type, you know, or definitely an existentialist thought processes here. I just, so far, this film is so intriguing. I want to know more. The investigative part of it, where Holly Martins has now become kind of the investigator of Lime's death. I love how this is just being set up.
3 men helped to carry your friend
The
to the
third
station.
man.
I didn't see his face.
Of course you didn't see his face.
Schmidt.
What's she talking about?
The police. They are searching my room.
A lot of this film is being spoken in German and English, but I feel like that's kind of to continue this idea of uncertainty, and like, because the audience wants to know what's going on. And for those of us who don't understand German, which I'm assuming is a large population because this is a British film, so I'm assuming it's targeted towards an English-speaking audience, I feel like it's to convey this uncertainty within the film, within society. We're not getting the full story because we don't understand the language that it's being told in, and that makes us anxious and makes us uncertain and offers this feeling of disappointment because we're like, oh, we missed that part. And I think that that's just, again, furthering this tone of just disillusionment in society, and this feeling of just disappointment. It's just fostering that in this film. It is kind of stressing me out because I'm like, well, what is she saying? Like, the police, I keep getting the police, like the police, what about the police? What's going on? And we don't get that because we don't have subtitles. And I don't know about any of you, but I don't speak German. So it's just adding on to this level of anxiety and uncertainty.
You were born in Graz of Austrian parents?
Yes.
How much did you pay for this?
Oh, so she was lying about her papers.
Harry never did anything. Only a small thing once out of kindness.
And what was that?
You've got it in your hand.
Oh. So he forged papers for her. Man, this must be so scary. So we got to see a little bit more of that, her emotion towards Lime in that scene, but there's still this overall feeling of like meaninglessness, especially written on her face. It's very blank most of the time, like she's just not all there. And that, I don't know if that's because she's grieving the loss of Lime or that she's really just not letting herself feel it, but she's just really conveying this like meaninglessness type, blasé, nonchalant feeling towards the whole situation, towards Lime himself. And I just love what she's bringing to her character. It really continues this feeling of meaninglessness, I guess, or this just disappointing feeling of what's going on.
Was it possible that his death might have been not accidental? Could he have been pushed, Dr. Winkle?
The injuries to the head and skull would have been the same.
They know something. Something is up. Also, there's this sense of distrust between the characters. Whenever a character comes into contact with Holly Martins, there's just this sense of distrust in their face, in their mannerism, in their nonverbals. And it's so interesting. I love that that's like the thing that it's really conveying to the audience. It's just this feeling of distrust, this feeling of like this foreign man is coming in and asking all these questions about something that he should have no business in. And it just really builds this tone of distrust, this tone of anxiety and uncertainty. And it's just, all of these elements are working together to really convey this tone. And it's just so evident in the film itself. I love it. I will not stop raving about that.
Who was the third man?
What man would you be referring to, Mr. Martins?
I was told that the third man helped you and Kurtz carry the body.
There were just the two of us, me and the Baron.
Why are they hiding this third man? Man, I do not trust any of these characters, like, at all.
It's a bridge. Good.
Oh, they're all meeting at the bridge for some reason. God, the music is making me nervous. Also, one movie fact I wanted to note. So, the way that they came about the music in this film, there was this Austrian composer, and he was like a up and coming, or like nobody really knew his name. I don't remember his name either. The production people, they found him. They decided that they wanted him to, I think it was Reed, because Reed like found him at like a show and asked him to record some demos for the film. And they really liked what he had to offer. And so they decided to use his music in the film. And I definitely get the sense of the Austrian kind of influences in the music. The use of the stringed instrument that they're using, it just really sets this tone of disillusionment. Like, I'm really feeling that. I know I keep talking about it, but it really sets this tone of disillusionment. And it's really capturing that and how it might have been, how those emotions might have been circulating during the 1940s. I just think it's doing such a great job of capturing its tone. So good so far.
Come tonight. My wife goes out.
All right, I'll come back, but...
Oh no, what is he seeing? I think someone's going to try and sabotage their meeting.
You
But you see, I don't want to. I don't ever want to.
So, okay, so she did love Harry. She loved him deeply.
The porter is overdraft.
This is a conspiracy! Oh, time to leave. Time to leave. Somebody quiet that kid. Oh my god, somebody grab the kid. I can't take the yelling.
Is Mr. Martins engaged on a new book?
Yes. It's called The Third Man.
I read that because of the popularity of this screenplay, Graham Greene actually adapted, or the screenplay of The Third Man was actually adopted into a form of wow, I can't talk. The screenplay of The Third Man was actually adapted into a form of a novella, so you can like read it too. So I just think it's funny that he's saying like he's making a book called The Third Man, and this screenplay inspired a novella called The Third Man. I thought that was funny. Yeah, again, it just really, this film really conveys just a lot of the things that were going on during this time. Because what I'm thinking about now, if you compare it to what people were feeling in terms of McCarthyism and the Red Scare, this new form of government is trying to come at you and trying to convert you into this new style of government. And I'm feeling that in this scene, at least, where he's being chased by these two, what I'm assuming are like government officials or investigators, I don't know, or maybe just townspeople. But it just feels like it's chasing you. This impending fear of change in the wrong direction is chasing you. And I feel it in this scene. It's that dang bird again. From freaking Citizen Kane, bro. God, I love the use of the dark lighting. That's another like cliche element of film noir, but this dark lighting and dark alleyways and half-lightened faces. I just love it. I love film noir so much.
I don't need your drinks, Calloway.
You will. I don't want another murder in this case, and you were born to be murdered, so you're going to hear the facts.
I like that line where he's like, I don't need another murder case on my radar, and you're born to be murdered. I think that was a good line.
So a nice trade started here. Stealing penicillin from the military hospitals, diluting it to make it go further, and selling it to patients.
Calloway, you haven't shown me one shred of evidence.
God, there's so many different things going on in this film in terms of just everything that's happened post-World War. Like, I didn't even talk about the fact that Austria is divided into 4 sections at this point in the film, but also in reality. And there's 4 different countries dominating 4 different zones of Austria, and everything is just pulled apart and isolated, also because of the language barrier, also because of the distrust that they're probably feeling between countries, because I'm sure that even though the Allied forces were working together, there was still this sense of whose side are you really on between the Allied forces and then also Austria. So there's just this really big feeling of just anxiety and fear and what's going to happen next. Nobody wanted another war. Like I said in the historical background, you know, there was all these looming fears of communism and nuclear war, and then the economy having to rebuild itself. Like, there's just so much just sadness and fear and anxiety that's just circulating in society at this point. And it's just so, they've really captured that, not only the feeling and emotions that people might be feeling, but also the world events that are triggering these emotions. They're really capturing that in this film, which is why I think that this film so far is holding up in history, because it's giving us a sense of what might have been going on emotionally, might have been going on historically, and stuff of that nature. It's just doing such a great job.
See this man here, a fellow called Harbin. He worked for Lyme and helped to steal the stuff from the laboratories. Payne?
I'd like a word with this orderly, Harbin.
I can't. He disappeared a week ago.
So this does offer some perspective as to why Harry Lyme might have been murdered, because he was essentially stealing penicillin, diluting it, and giving it to patients that were unfortunately dying from the after effects of the diluted penicillin. So it gives us context, but it still doesn't tell us who killed Harry Lime.
Not very sociable, is he?
No, he only liked Harry.
Ooh, what an interesting transition. That was really cool. It's Harry! Oh my god!
Harry!
How are you alive, bro? Oh my god, now that paragraph makes so much sense. Oh my god, what is this? I have so many questions. Oh yeah, wow.
Where are we? It's the main sewer.
Gross.
Smells sweet, doesn't it?
I like this guy. I don't know his name. Bernard Lee. This guy that's like the second in command to the major. I like him. I like his character. He's like definitely feels tough, right? But at the same time, there's like a politeness to him that I really like. I mean, is he even alive? I guess we'll find out right now.
Yes, Joseph Harbin. Medical orderly at the General Hospital.
Oh, the man who disappeared is the one who's in the casket. Oh my gosh. What? So he's the one that's dead. I'm so confused. And she's all distraught and he's not even dead. Wow, she really loved him. I do love that they allowed us to see her love for Harry Lime. Anna, her love for Harry, how they've kind of let that unravel as the film went on. Because at the beginning, like I said, she was very nonchalant about his death, very like blasé about the whole thing. But we see that now at this point we understand that was just her grieving, and now it's really starting to unfold that she really cared for him and she really loved him and was very grateful towards him for getting her papers to be able to kind of blend into Austrian society. So I do love that we do get that depth in her character.
Just seen a dead man walking.
All right, John, get back.
I saw him buried. And now I've seen him alive.
I feel like that line was definitely a direct... It kind of was pulled from the paragraph that I shared with you in the historical background, because it was just talking about how like he had seen his friend being put into the frozen February ground, and then a week later he saw him walking at like as if they were strangers passing. So I liked that was kind of a direct line to the paragraph.
When did you last see Lime?
2 weeks ago.
I want the truth, Miss Schmidt. We know he's alive. Joseph Harbin's body was found in the coffin. I said another man was buried in his place.
Wow, so she really didn't know. She's in shock. Yeah, she's realizing that her lover, that she literally has been grieving over, is now alive. And he's just laying all this information on her and trying to investigate her while she's like realizing that she's been grieving for no reason. But it just goes to show you that 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 lack of compassion that's really being shown throughout this film.
I want to talk to Harry. Are you mad?
Yes.
All right, I'm mad. I've seen a ghost. Tell him I'll wait by that wheel there.
Yeah, this music really reminds me of a Wes Anderson film, because Wes Anderson deals with a lot of like dark themes in his films, but it's overlaid by like upbeat music and colorful vibrant color patterns and this interesting way of acting. It's like there's like a distinct way of acting that Wes Anderson has in his films, but it's all over these underlining dark themes, and I feel like that's kind of what's happening in this. So I wonder if Wes Anderson was inspired by some of these old film noir films. I don't know. This film is reminding me of a Wes Anderson film. Oh my god, is that him?
Hello, old man. How are you?
Hello, Harry.
And just in broad daylight, like he didn't just fake his own death. What? I'm so confused.
You know what's happened to your girl? You're handing her over to the Russians.
What can I do, old man? I'm dead on her.
Exactly. Who did you tell about me? I told the police.
I want to say really quick, just because I feel like there's a sort of chemistry between Joseph Cotten and Orson Welles, in terms of you can tell that behind the scenes they seem to be really good friends, and that's translated onto their characters, just in the way they're interacting with each other. I know that this is kind of like more like a confrontation, but I'm thinking also in terms of Citizen Kane. You can just tell that they've known each other for a while. They've worked together multiple times or more than once. And so there's this sort of like chemistry between them that I feel is translated well in this film and then also in Citizen Kane. I just wanted to talk about that.
If I offered you 20,000 pounds for every dot that stopped, would you really, old man, tell me to keep my money? Or would you calculate how many dots you could afford to spin?
Wow. Wow, so we're really seeing that Harry Lime is so emotionless in what he's doing and how it's affecting other people. Like, he's kind of a douche, not gonna lie. This idea that they've spun about him, this charismatic, charming, good, like well-mannered man who's out for everybody, is just not who he is at all. Like, complete opposite, at least from this scene. He's very like he's very conceited and cocky and like cares about his own self-interest. He doesn't care about other people. And you saw how quickly he was to just throw Anna under the bus. And I think that really speaks to this idea of disenchantment. Like, you had this idea of how this person was supposed to be, but then you meet them and they're just completely the opposite. And it forwards that tone. I love how this whole entire story, and everything that's being put into this film is all there to express its tone. And I love that they're doing that. This is such a good film.
Dug up your coffin.
And found Harbor?
Pity.
Orson Welles is such a good actor, and he's acting with his eyes in this point, because you see that he's trying to be this like, he's like, oh, pity, like, oh, I got you wrapped around my finger type guy. But then you see in his eyes that he's afraid, because he knows that the police know more than he thought that they did. And I love that he's conveying that through his eyes. Very, very good actor.
Nobody thinks in terms of human beings. Governments don't. Why should we? They talk about the people and the proletariat. I talk about the suckers and the mugs. It's the same thing.
I still feel like there's another aspect to this, another layer to this film, because I don't feel like he's just going to be like a bad guy. There's a reason behind it. And I feel like it's going to be revealed in the climax, but I don't know. I still don't trust that he's just, the bad guy that's selling the faulty drugs. There's another layer to this and to his character that I feel like they're going to reveal.
What price would you pay? Well, they asked me to help take him.
If you want to sell your services, I'm not willing to be the price.
But I feel like still all of these different stories that are being told to our main protagonist are so conflicting and so confusing. Like, I'm confused because I don't know who to believe. Because, I mean, all of them are matching up, yes, but Major Calloway is spinning this tale of Harry Lime being this awful racketeer who harms children with his, faulty penicillin. And then we get the same story from Harry himself, but there's something in his eyes or something in his mannerisms that are telling us that there's something else going on. I don't know. Maybe that's just me trying to find goodness out of this story, but I just feel like there's something else going on, and there's still something that we as the audience don't know. I don't know. That's just what I'm getting.
So she talked you out of it. Gave me these. A girl of spirit. All the kids in here, there's out of line. Penicillin racket. Terrible pity, isn't it?
He keeps changing his stance on this. Like with Anna, he's like, I'm not going to help them take Harry because he's being influenced by her perspective. But then Major Calloway is like, but look at what he did to these kids. So now he's being influenced by his perspective. And then there's a perspective of Harry. Like, all these different perspectives are like influencing how he's supposed to feel about this overall situation. And it's just like, it's confusing even to the audience because I don't even know who to believe. I don't know who to believe. I don't know what to think. You never really know who Harry Lime is. Like, I mean, he did like he did give us an insight about who he is as a person. He's very opposite as to what people were, or at least what Anna was talking about. I'm very confused as poor Holly here. I don't know what's going on.
How did you know I was here anyway?
From courts? Don't tell me you are doing all this for nothing. You must feel very proud to be a police informer.
You know what I'd love to see in Hollywood today? I'd love to see them do another film noir type film, employing some of these elements of film noir. Because I know a lot of film noir now is very, I think it's in a lot of films, but it's very subtle. Like, just they use different elements of film noir, but I'd love to see like a full film set in film noir. I'm just thinking like that would be so cool to see, but then also the influences of our society today and how that might influence the film set in film noir. I don't know how they would do it, and I don't know who would do it, but if there's any like filmmakers watching this, we need to get some more of these like new age film noir films. That would be so freaking cool to see. There's your idea right there. If you needed an idea, there you go. That'd be awesome. I love how they decided not to have any music in this scene, because I feel like sometimes silence makes things more intense. When you don't have music kind of overlaid into it, it kind of lets the audience feel whatever it is that they're going through in this moment. And I really appreciate that they decided to kind of let that happen, especially because this is the climax of the film. I just love that they decided to let us as the audience really feel and process everything that's going on in this scene. Man, they got him cornered at every corner. Where is he gonna escape to? Oh my God. Every single place. You're cornered everywhere, pal. Like, there's nowhere that you can run to be safe. They got you everywhere, buddy. No! I liked him. Oh man. What an iconic shot, by the way. This is like the one shot that I saw whenever I was researching, is this where he's looking up and the light's shining on his face. So I think what this film really reveals is, so I guess there wasn't another layer that I thought there was going to be another layer to this film, but I think it had to be this way because it just completes that feeling of just disappointment and disillusionment that comes with a lot of these film noir films. And I think in a way I actually appreciate it that much more because you really do get that sense of what people were feeling, like I said earlier, during this time. You know, what the reality of life is that sometimes you just get there's just such a great disappointment in all these like you know, and just the investigation of it, like trying to find out who it was. And I was invested in it too. Like, why did Harry Lime, you know, why do they want him dead? What kind of man was he? And then you realize the kind of man he was, and you're like, why is he so bad? There has to be a silver lining in all of this, and there just isn't. And I think that is really just an aspect of film noir. There's just this disappointing feeling, but I'm not mad at it. I love it. I love that's kind of what it conveyed. Just this feeling of just being let down, because again, during that time, a lot of people felt like that. There was a lot of anxiety, a lot of disappointment, a lot of existentialism, and it's just so beautifully captured in this film. Like, this is a really well done film. I'm like not mad at it at all. I love it very much. And then the music, just, it's really good. She just walks right past him. Like, what's the point anymore, you know? Like, what is the point of it all? Yes. Wow. What a good film, y'all. I really enjoyed that. I really liked how we really got to see, again, just this idea of this tone of disillusionment and disenchantment And the ending scene of her just kind of walking, no closure, just kind of leaving it where it's at and letting the audience figure it out as, you know, make their own assumptions of it. I really appreciated that. But I'm like, for me personally, I just feel like at the end, it's like, what does it matter anymore? You know, the reason why you were here, the reason why we met, it no longer exists. And so for that reason, it just, there's just no point anymore, you know? So I don't know. I really liked the ending. I really loved how consistent this film was in the tone of it. There's just this increasing feeling of anxiety and fear and distrust in the government and each other. And I just really feel like after doing research on kind of when these were popular, just knowing that that was really the theme and the feeling and the emotions of what was going on in the late 40s and early 50s. Like there was just this feeling of, what do we do next? What happens next? What's the point of all of this? After all of this devastation, you know, with the Great Depression, with the war, all this carnage, lives lost, what is the meaning of it all? And then these new fears of all the things coming, you know, from the 50s with communism and fear of nuclear war, like it's just so much pressure, and you feel that. The pressure of all of that in this film. There's just this constant state of anxiety and fear, but it's just so beautifully conveyed. And for that reason, I feel like it really held up in time. It was just such a good film. Amazing acting on the part of Joseph Cotten and Alida Valli. They conveyed this tone through their acting. And of course, Orson Welles is a given, you know? And like I said, I think it was just so well done. Such a well done film. Well-rounded, solid film noir film. I have to give it a 10 again. Like, it was just so, just in the context of its genre, of its style, it hit every single mark. It even had like the cliche elements of a film noir. Like all of it was there, and it was so well done. So I'm going to give it a 10 this week. And I can't wait for our film noir month. I cannot wait to explore more of these film noir films. But yeah, please keep recommending these awesome films. They are so good. All right, everyone, that does it for this video. As always, if you liked it as much as I did, please give it a thumbs up. Also, please subscribe to my channel and hit that bell notification to stay in the loop. All right, so in the next video, we are going to be watching another two-parter. A few of you have been recommending it in the comments, and I'm very excited to watch it. We were supposed to watch it in January, but it didn't work out. And I think now we are very much ready for this film. I'm very excited to announce it. So in the next video, we are going to be watching David Lean's 1962 epic film, Lawrence of Arabia. I'm very excited to watch this. I've been wanting to watch it now for a couple months, and I finally found the film, and it's like the perfect time to watch it. So we are going to watch it in the next video. And like I said a little earlier, we are going to be doing it in 2 parts, just because the movie's almost 4 hours long. And I want to give both parts equal attention, so we are going to split it up into 2 parts. With that being said, please make sure you check out the film either in its entirety or read a synopsis of it, or check it out on YouTube. Just make sure you kind of understand what's going on in the film, and then come back, watch the reaction, get ready with your movie facts and your movie insights, and we are going to talk about it in the comments. I'm super excited. As always, be sure to check out that discussion tab. I always post on there, just in case there's any changes in the schedule or any updates during the week. Also, if you have any recommendations of any classic Hollywood era films, please let me know in the comment box below. I am always accepting recommendations, and you guys literally recommend like the best movies. So do not ever feel afraid to recommend movies. So with that being said, thank you to all of my subscribers. Please subscribe to the channel. Guys, we are almost to 1,000 subscribers. And with 1,000 subscribers comes a whole bunch of new amenities for you and me, and I'm very excited. So please, if you haven't already, please subscribe. Here's our road to 1,000. Super excited. Everyone, please stay safe and healthy out there, and I'll see all of you in the next video. Bye, everybody.